Myself, I'm Ratna Bhushan, a friend, motivator, and guide to IAS aspirant, international motivational speaker, leadership trainer, CEO, coach, political strategist, and policy advisor. Welcome to ASG. ASG believe in quality, commitments, and success. A comprehensive current for dedicated student. Listening is very powerful. Mega championship of current affairs. Mega championship for current affairs. So, before starting the program, I would like to share you the quote. God alone is the judge. God alone is the judge of true greatness because he knows men's heart. Because he knows men's heart. This quote by Mahatma Gandhi from the book The Words of Gandhi, written by Richard Attenborough. So, the most important fact of today's are Rangers guide three tigers out of Kaziranga. Rangers guide three tigers out of Kaziranga. The big cats get disoriented by flood waters and human structures along their paths. The tiger can feel helpless too. Wildlife officials and rescue workers of the flooded Kaziranga National Park KNAP, Kaziranga National Park, had to provide a safe passage for three tigers in less than 2 days, guiding them to the relative safety to the hills of the beyond highway along the southern edge of the park. Two tigers swam out of the Bagmari village on the outskirts of the western edge of the KNP. One was directed towards Karbi, Anglong, Anglong and reached safely. Two other distracted dogs in the village rested beside the highway before it was also guided to the forest in the hills, said P. Sivkumar, the park's director. Animals used 9 major and several minor corridors between KNP and the hills of the Karbi and Long to escape floods during the monsoon and return when the water subsided. About 95% of the park has been flooded this year, with 173 of the 223 anti-poaching camps inundated. The next news: EU, European Union, India to meet and resuming FTA negotiation. EU, India to meet on resuming FTA negotiation. 7 years after talks, 7 years after talks on the free trade agreement were suspended, India and the European Union are set to agree on the high-level dialogue on the trade and investment to restart negotiation. The announcement is expected to virtual EU-India summit led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who will engage with President of European Council President of European Council Charles Michel and President of European Commission Ursula von der Leyen. During the summit, India and EU were expected to conclude several agreements, including a roadmap for the cooperation and agreement on research sharing for the civil nuclear cooperations, and launch a maritime security dialogue as well as negotiation between Europol and the CBI. According to officials, tackling COVID-19, its impact on the European and the global order will be high on the agenda. In particular, medical developments on the vaccines and treatment will be discussed along with the withdrawal of US from the multilateral organizations like the World Health Organization and concern about the assertive China. European Union officials said they had been fully briefed by New Delhi and Beijing about the situation at the line of control, as they were deeply concerned by the deadly clashes at the Galwan Valley last month, and they were pleased that both sides have since agreed to military de-escalation. The trade and investment dialogue to be concluded between the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and EU Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and EU Trade Commissioner Phil Hogan is expected to give a boost to negotiation on the bilateral trade and investment agreement BTIA and the EU FTA. The European Union is India's largest trading partner and investor and accounts for 11% of India's global trade. 11% of India's global trade. 11% of India's global trade. China making deep inroads into Iran. Tehran could get economic lifetime while China seeks to expand role in region. Both countries are at odds with the US. One is huge energy market and is abundant with the surplus cash, and other is a Shangsun hits cash strapped energy exporter At a time when the US is targeting both through a host of the economic measures, China and Iran are taking their partnership to a new level through a $400 billion long-term agreement. According to New York Times, the countries are advanced stage of the finalizing the agreement that would allow China to expand its presence in banking, telecommunication, ports, railways, and several other sectors in the Islamic Republic in return of heavily discounted oil for 25 years, while for Iran, whose oil sales plummeted after President Donald Trump unilaterally pulled the US out of the Iran nuclear deal in May 2018 and reimposed sanctions on the country, this agreement could be an economic lifetime. China could enhance its strategic influence in region where the US has built a strong presence since the Second World War. The partnership the partnership was first proposed by China's President Xi Jinping during a visit to Iran in 2016. The Iranian government cleared it last month, according to a Foreign Minister Javed Jafir. This means Mr. Xi made the proposal after the nuclear deal was reached in 2015 that led to international sanctions on Iran being lifted. Now, when Iran is grappling when Iran is grappling, when Iran is grappling, when Iran is grappling, when Iran is grappling, when Iran is with a struggling economy hit by sanctions following the unraveling of the deal, its leadership has cleared the Chinese proposal. Iran is very crucial place in China's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI). Belt and Road Initiative (BRI). China always wanted to bring Iran on board, as the Americans pursued the policy of the maximum pressure against the Iran and left Iran after the extraordinary privation and the deprivation. It is now open to the Chinese initiative, said Talmiz Ahmed, who was India's ambassador to several Gulf countries. India's role. Coincidentally, at a time when the Iran and China are finalizing this partnership agreement, Iran has dropped India from a project to build a rail line from the Chabar port to Jahedan along the border with the Afghanistan. The Hindu reported on Tuesday the project signed in 2016 was hailed as a major trilateral project that would give India access to Afghanistan by passing Pakistan. But Iranian officials cited delay in the proposed $400 million funding as the reason for dropping India from the project. Under new partnership agreement, China is likely to play a role in Chabar port. The original Chabar agreement, this is very important. The original Chabar agreement between India and Iran was signed in 2003 between Iranian President Mohammad Khatami and Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The original Chabar agreement between India and Iran was signed in 2003 between Iranian President Mohammad Khatami and Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The original Chabar agreement between India and Iran was signed in 2003 between Iranian President Mohammad Khatami and Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Lost opportunity. Right from the beginning of its tenure, government has underlined the geostrategic importance it attaches to Chabar Port project. The project signed in 2003 has been a symbol of traditionally important India-Iran ties. Connected by the sea lanes to the ports in India's west coast, Chabar would form the fulcrum of India's outreach to Russia and Central Asia, enhancing the connectivity, energy supply, and trade. The last topic is the standoff in India's policy dilemma. This article was written by Antara Ghoshal Singh in Hindu newspaper. From China, which has long been preoccupied with its relentless pursuit to approach the center of the world and managing a turbulent relationship with the United States, June 15 incident of violent face-off between Chinese and the Indian troops at the line of control LAC, causing casualty on both sides, came as a big jolt. It brought the national focus back on the otherwise not so popular topic of China-India relation. The development took China strategic community by storm, while the intense debate and discussion that followed rather and generating a consensus brought out China's main dilemmas vis-a-vis India. On one side of the debate are China's top India watchers such as Lin Minwang and Zhang Jidong from the Fudan University and Li Hongmei from the Shanghai Institutes for international studies, among others, who believe that the present conflict is not an accident but an inevitable result of what they perceive as India's long-standing speculative strategy on the China-India border, from the Doklam to Kashmir to India's unending infrastructure arms race at the LSE. They said Beijing was fed up and had to reach India's isolation. Their key argument is that China-India relations hold no great prospect in the current international situation. And quasi allow US with the no scope for the reversal with the opportunity of the cooperations at the global level diminish, regional cooperation intense and earlier system of effective management of bilateral differences crumbling beyond the control, periodic violent conflicts they predict are their new normal China-India ties. Thank you so much to watch my program. Wish you all the best. God bless you. God bless incredible Bharat.